the hardest?
Don't know who's the hardest. Another episode. Before I introduce this person here, I'd like to say that he's really instrumental in the UK scene. I'm talking before any of this drill, any of what people class real rap. I'd like to say you was fundamental in that era, where there weren't no social media, there weren't no one, they couldn't download music or like that. Like you was really out.
We had to work it out, man.
Right. You had to be your own machine. Man never have no machine behind man. And I remember bucking this person. You lot obviously know who it is because you're seeing him already. But before I say his name, I remember seeing this person on the high street, Oxford Street, with like 6, 7 youths around him, maybe more. You get me?
We got all of them, all of them. Black Mob, D21, D-Raw, Daily, all the generals and that.
I swear, dark and cold. That was your little stomping ground around there.
They had the shop around the corner, so we'd have all the youths on the strip, and then we'd have dark and cold just around the back. And it was so that was like home.
I remember you lot had that a lot, because you got to remember, you see the city, the man them's more in the ends, innit? Like on the blocks and everything. The man don't really divert and go to the city. This era, this time of when you lot was out
obviously
there.
now, you know the funny thing, I see it now, innit?
You see it now. You see man shotting trainers out there, networking and that.
You see, obviously people have got more situations now, so they're in like Central, Hatton Gardens. So you see like more, labels giving out office space or whatever. So we see it now. Back then, me and my lot, we had an office block and studios in Hatton Gardens. From then, we had offices in Tottenham Court Road, and because we knew what it was, that was the maths in it. Like, that was what it took to get in the thing. Then, yeah, if you ain't got a central address or a central phone number, forget it.
But this is it. I kind of skipped it. I jumped it. So let me take it right back to the essence behind your name. What's the reasoning behind your name, Mike GLC? What's it about? Let the people know that.
The semantics of it.
Even the abbreviation of the GLC, like people might think, right, it's a Mercedes. You know like that?
The GLC is basically, my uncle got murdered, I got his names. So I got George Coombs. Rest in peace, Junior Coombs.
Rest in peace, Unks. How you mean?
He got one of the first people to ever die on farm. He got murdered, and I got his middle names. So that's why I knew I had to represent that. So the Coombs is my uncle, my mum's last name. So I was the last one with it when she passed as well. So obviously come from Jamaica, come from family bear, and then I give it to my son. I love my baby mother for that because she always let me give it to my son, rather than take her name. So we managed to carry on. You get me? So the whole GLC,
the legacy,
the GLC is just it's gonna carry on. So that's what it is. The Mike GLC and obviously Michael Coombs, and that's what it is. It's my real name.
So what inspired you to make music? What inspired you to rap?
We got a similar story in it. Care homes, Borstals, a hyperactive mind. I was a hyperactive youth. I ended up in care at like 6. And
sorry, not to interrupt. You see when you say you're hyperactive, yeah, because I was touching base on this with J Rock, on the episode with J Rock. Man saying like, you see like autism, ADHD, OCD, little stuff like that. Back then, there weren't no names for these things. So when man's banging out, getting in trouble in class, getting sent to detention, your parents don't even understand why. They're just thinking you're a bad you.
But you know what's weird? Yeah, that's exactly.
And it could fall down to something as simple as being dyslexic. So you act up, you bang out on them angles there. So you're saying that you was wild in that. Did you ever get screened?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. I guess I was one of the ones who got screened early, like that.
You feel what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand this, bro.
Yeah, so I get, when I look back now, like I looked up my old care home. So my first care home was
say he's banging out in
No,
there.
it's called Therapeutic School for Kids with Behaviour Issues now. So back then it must have been, but back then we knew it as care home. So
and that's it, that was the title for it. Just bad kids go there and that's it.
I just remember like, no one would keep me. So like, primary school, and my mum was sick as well. So I think the two kind of just amalgamated. He's a fucked up you, and she's always sick. I've got social, care and all that stuff. They sent me to care. And the funny thing, I was watching, when you asked about like the start of music, I was watching LA Cool J, and it's nuts because my start's different to a lot of people. I can really look at like American artists and really put them in places that mean something really significant to the rise of what I created. So I learned how to rap from LA Cool J on Bad.
Imagine that.
literally.
Imagine that.
You know where I'm coming from?
Big up LL Cool J.
Because that's all I had in the care home was a vinyl of LA Cool J.
Swear down the one record, you say you had that on rotation more time.
Buzzed it. So like, you know, and I can remember the NWA hit, and I can remember being in that care home and walking down that dorm room and hearing NWA for the first time and feeling a certain way, and you know, bullying the way I used to watch MTV rap. So really, my upbringing really is integral to how I went on to see music, if it makes sense. Hence why I reckon I was one of the first doing it, and hence why I kind of think that my trajectory is different to a lot of people's. I saw an interview today where I think we're talking about Spray with Lime. I said, you know, Mike's one of the first street rappers, but I wouldn't put myself anywhere. I even made a post today, you know, and it's on the negative side of things, but I'm drawing a line in the sun saying, this ain't UK rap. And that part of that is part that I feel that the disrespect from the UK rap industry, period. I mean, from the music industry, not just the UK rap industry. There's not a UK rap industry. There's a music industry, which is a bunch of friends. So the disrespect from that alone. But duly to be, I'm not UK rap. I've had no trajectory in UK rap. I've never had a record deal. I've never had anything to do with it. I created this flow by myself. People nicked parts of it and took it for their own. I set up street teams. We had our own offices. We had our builders. I've had no connection with anything to do with the UK music industry in my whole career. So like, and I'm trying to really make that really clear, because a lot of people often think like, right,
people assume that you did though.
Well, people often think like, right, why didn't Mike get what he was due? Why is everyone else like, oh, Mike's obviously clearly better than them, and they obviously clearly nick parts of his formula, and nick parts of his flow, and the only thing I can tell people is like, I was never part of it. I was never in it. If you check the trajectory, I was the first person ever to do a DVD in the country. So on that DVD, Long Good Friday, is the first time anyone ever done a DVD. You would catch me being a lot of firsts, but you won't see me being a part of anything.
And what was that, Long Good Friday?
Long Good Friday, first European artist, rap or otherwise, to have a DVD. So I was a lot of firsts, but I was never part of anything. So a lot of people took the lead from what we might have done at the time, and they expanded on it, but we was never part. So my whole trajectory has always been this. So learning rap from Care, and then coming there to London when I started rapping, no one listened to rap. So I kind of had to create a flow, and I think later on down the line, I started to hear, way later on down the line, like way later, the first rappers that I heard that had flows that we think were similar with like Out of Town, Nottingham, Bristol. But later on, then I started to hear people like yourself, the PDCs, the Shacks, and that's when I thought, yeah, home. And if you notice, even at that point, that's why I don't have any industry ties. That's why I'm trying to grab why everyone else is over.
I get it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my trajectory into the industry.
So when could you say you penciled your first rhyme, and when did you hit the booth first?
From Care. Everything would have been from Care.
Oh, so you done everything in and around that time?
Everything from Care. Everything from that care home. By the time I come back from that care home, I could rap, I could dance, I could draw, One thing about them care homes is you got a lot of time to learn shit.
Was you treated well in there?
This was the irony. It was an oxymoron, and I appreciate that oxymoron so much. In other words, they gave a fuck about you. You got loved by the place itself, so they looked out. And again, I'm very grateful for that, because this is like in the
yeah, because man could have been on the roads.
Not only that as well, no, but even that aside, that's not even so much. No, not even so much for that. If I'm honest, like being on the roads and being back in London wouldn't have been that bad. And I think that's partly one of the reasons why I've always had the perspective I've had, because I've always looked at it like a lot of these guys created these problems for themselves. Because if I stayed in London and, you know, lived on the estate with my mum and then went to college and all that, my life probably would be way better. So it's not so much that, because I look at it like that's, but it was more that what was happening at that time in England, if you're black and you're going into the care system, you never seen films like Scum and all them kind of films there? That's what was happening. Like, that's what was happening in real time for black youths in the system.
That era there,
like, they was going into the system and never coming out, bro. And not even just that, like, they was just never coming out. The places that had them, they were like prisons. They were different, bro. And that's what was really happening.
That's when they were giving them more liquid caution, turning them mental, and
I'm really
in
that. I'm really coming. So even when you clock my first album, that's when we've got all them kind of skits, because it's really that period I'm going through the care homes. But for some reason, there was two things happened.
You could either make or break you.
Well, this was the thing, and it made man.
The same with Pen.
Like, it made man. And that's and I think that's what a lot of people, not even a lot of people, but a lot of what was Mike GLC went on to be, it was actually made then, if that makes sense. So, but like, I appreciate the fact that it could have been, they could like, listen, black people were coming in that system and never coming out, bro. And even when we're going into the care homes, I mean, I've got a relationship with some of my, some of my family, me and Kello from Tottenham, guy, one of those from Tottenham, we was there together, and we're fighting every day. These are people's thieves. These are marks. Like we got like we're hard.
Same, I got them same Jones, bro.
But the thing is, so it made us hard. Like if anyone, you come to the hood, you know the man, them, we're hard. Like it made us physically hard, and we're known for it. But at the same time, the place gave a fuck. So if a man called me a nigger and I smacked him over, I'm not gonna get in trouble for this. But we can have that fight. We might have a fight, and the teacher might wait for us to finish. It was that kind of, and it was a place that could make you or break you in a sense of like, luckily enough. And when I looked at it the other day, like luckily enough, I didn't make it suck man in, and I didn't want to be nothing but myself in the sense of like, you got man to go in them systems and they come out white boys or they come out a bit funny. But me and mine had enough strength to stand on our pivot. Like, nah, we're here. We kept it. So I got the best out of it because there was so much life lessons.
Learn from that
You
situation.
couldn't even sell a man. Listen, we're selling cigarettes for £2 a piece at 10, learning life that way around. You know that? So like, there was lessons in that shit.
No, I get that. It definitely does form, man. Do you understand? So you see, like, obviously, you're doing what you're doing with the music and everything. Where do you think your height was? Where do you think the main part of your career was?
Do you know the weirdest thing? Bro, if you told me I'll be standing, if you told me I'll be walking and doing a freestyle for my mate at this age, I'll be dying. So the weirdest thing is, humbly, I got off the phone to a couple companies this morning. I've just finished a graphic novel. I've just got other things which amalgamate to a whole bigger picture life. We're in a better place in life.
I want to get to that.
Do you get what I'm
and
coming
everything,
from?
yeah.
But like, so for me, I'm at my height now. Then music aside, forget music. I mean, truthfully, I probably make more money out of my music now than I did in any career. And I feel better when I'm doing it than I did any time. So, but at the height, as far as who I was before,
You're there now.
I'd say it was probably, when we helped build what people went on to then help. So if I look back and think my biggest achievements would be some of the pillar stones that I know that went down to helping build what people have today.
Exactly. And touching on that, I'd say one of them, dub plate drama. And I feel like that's overlooked and shied away from. I don't think you get enough ratings for actually.
No, I tell you what it is with dub plate drama. I've got a love-hate relationship with dub plate drama because I also then on the flip side feel that dub plate drama was also one of them situations that it gave a lot to a lot of people that weren't from our culture that I've seen go on to not benefit our culture. If that makes sense. People that I know personally.
I'm not even gonna be funny, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Early in my career, I got a phone call from yourself and you're like, yo, bro, I need a couple artists, come true, dub plate drama.
Come on.
You didn't have to do that, bro.
Nah, but
you get me? You see that stuck with me for years, bro, because that was a big deal, bro. You're giving me the opportunity to be on the big screen.
Yeah, but bro,
you see what I'm saying? There's not a lot of man like that network and reach out. Bro, the game is disgusting.
I'm sitting here for that same reason I picked up the phone that day. You know what I mean? Nothing don't change, bro. It's the same, like, I don't know, and maybe this is where me and a lot of other artists differ, bro. I actually have a moral compass, bro. Like, actually, maybe it fucks me over, maybe it does. I said it a minute ago, when it comes to sitting down, doing talking and all that, I don't give a fuck what this does. This will get 1 view, 1 million. My brethren asked me to do something. That's that. And that's the rules I'm sitting to in this thing. I done Spray's podcast. I got a lot of people who won't talk to me no more because I don't want to do their podcast. I don't want to sit and talk shit with them. I don't want to do none of this shit, bro. So like my friends, the people that were friends, people that I could see genuine in, like I said, like certain people. And I'm just grateful that like there was enough of those people within this confines that I've always recognized that in man, like yourself, like people. So there's enough, there are enough real people in this thing. And some of them are in high places and some are in low places, but that's the moral compass man stick to, man.
No, I respect that from you. So you see, like, touching on dub plate drama, how different was that character that you played back then to the person that you was back then? I know you're laughing when I asked that, but I have to ask that. I have to ask that, my bro. I know. I was with you. I was there. But for the people that know, don't know, people that listen to you.
I didn't have no songs in dub plate drama. The man didn't do no rapping stuff. And I know that they wrote a lot of shit and I looked at that script and I said, nope,
Exactly. You made that script yourself.
No, we ain't doing that. Like on any level, like man. That's what I'm trying to say. There was a lot of coonery that I got caught out on. A man that me and a certain people spent whole days rewriting scripts for these guys of what can't go happen and what can't do and rare tear. And a lot of, the most important thing I can say what went in error at that time, I guess, was obviously the character that they've got written as a bad person does a lot of talking shit. So we had to cut all that out, and we had to cut all the excitement out. So that for me it was just that, like just cutting all the bollocks out.
Because usually story writers, they haven't really literally lived the life what they're writing about. Do you know what I mean? They're just story
Do you
writers.
know the funniest thing?
Whereas you've been there.
You know what's mad? You said something to me earlier when you was with B, innit?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you was with him them times, but it was one night, I never remember, I was filming Dubplate, and B phoned me. And I think he was not too far when he was coming home them times. And he said something to me, and there was always a saying, because me and him was going to do something, and you know already when you're doing certain things with certain people, you're like, bro, are you going to have your head together? He's like, yeah. And he said something, he said, bro, as good as I do things bad, I do things good. I never forgot that line, because I always remembered that is actually the ethos.
Yeah, it's just yin yang. It's straight in the middle, you feel me? Straight, bro.
So we took that into error. And I took it as a line to tell the production, like, this is the ethos of your guy. As good as he does things bad, he does things good. There's your ethos. Does that make sense?
No, 100%. 100%. So would you not get involved with it if they brought it back again? Or have you ever had any thoughts of like,
do you know what it is, bro?
Rubbing shoulders with them? Bro,
no,
I feel like that's a big deal, bro.
If I'm truthful, my whole thing with everything I see, every moving and shaking that I see within the music industry, within the film industry, if I'm truthful, I just see it. At the moment, people are just doing business with the wrong people. So I can't get involved while business is happening with the wrong people. I see people making films and you're looking at the film like, what the fuck? You're seeing people get budgets for things and you're like, what the fuck? So at this moment in time, I'm just waiting to finish the projects that I've started, as far as the graphic novels, the books, the writing and all that. And then I can get back around the back way and say, this is what I want to do. And I don't think until that point, I can make my statement clear that we're not doing what the fuck these lot are doing, bro. So we need it. It needs to be filmed. It needs to be, the coonery has to be finished now. So if I'm going to sit down and we're not getting budgets for shit that's not coonery, bro, they're the facts. So I know that I need to go do what I'm doing in the fields that I'm doing it in, so I can avoid coonery budgets.
Nah, I hear you.
You feel me?
I hear you. So for the people that don't know, tell them a bit more about your comic line, your graphic line, the illustrations that you do. Let them know about what you do.
I should have. If I knew we were gonna sit down, I would have even bought some. But like, at the moment, I got. I hate talking shit.
You got I seen you with loads of characters and all of that.
At the moment, I own the IP to Oliver Twist 2150. So I've got a graphic novel that's coming out. It's a 200-page graphic novel that's going to start being released from next week. It's called Oliver Twist 2150. It's based around the old Oliver Twist story, but it's also based in the future. You've got AI interaction. There's going to be merch. There's some merch coming next week. So I hate talking shit because it is what it is, but it's on. It's
a big deal, bro.
It's on, bro.
I don't feel like you're talking shit. These things people need to know, bro. It's a big
bro?
deal, and it seems small to you because
do
you're
you know what
doing
I had this conversation this morning.
You have
I'll
to.
be honest with you. Listen, when it comes to things like what I do, like sometimes I'll test it. Like if I could put up a post on my Instagram of me rapping, talking a bunch of shit. Loved it. Put up a picture of artwork, which I know far exceeds the levels of whatever this music shit is. That's not for my audience. So a lot of the time, if I'm talking about what I'm talking about as far as like the graphic novels and the books and the comics and the art, my audience don't give a shit. What they will give a shit about it at the end of it when they say, yo, Mike's thing's hard. That's the only part they give a shit about.
Yeah.
Now the audience that I actually deal with as far as that's concerned, I'm getting ready to step into their dome now. Does that make sense?
No, I get you.
So there in that there is comics, merch, books, film. There's all that involved, writing. So again, and I think when I get into that flow of things, then I'll be able to turn around and say, yo, this is what I want to do. But I still need my audience to, because that's what we're going to sell over there. What we're taking over to that world of things. If we do it right, they haven't seen it. They haven't seen this.
Nah, this is it.
Does that make sense?
Nah, because there's a post that you put up on Instagram a while ago, yeah, and you had that weird TV that spins to the side and that. So I'm watching that, yeah, And I think my brethren's around me. He's like, yo, you see the TV my man's got in this shit? I'm saying, bro, you don't even know. My man's got like, he's got studios. He's got a separate studio. He's got a room for his artwork. Like, that's the least. You see, like, what man think about small-minded, they don't know there's more to you than just that. You see what I'm saying, fam? So, certain little things that go on social media, I know you firsthand, innit, bro? I just chuckle, bro. I just think they don't know this guy. Yeah. This guy's a different kind of guy. Like, your leagues, like, light years ahead of a lot of people, bro.
I think, do you know what it is, bro? Learning... You know, man, come on, you know, man, sit here, we study, do everything, philosophy, we listen to all. And I think I've got to this point of this thing here now where, at the moment, I'm just grateful I take my blessing. I'm grateful for even feeling the way I feel about shit. I'm grateful that even when I step in the booth, it still sounds like that. I feel like that. That's the truth.
What? Look at little Reese, he lost his voice, but he gets shot in his throat, lose his voice. Beanie Siegel, voice gone.
But even deeper than that, even just, bro, how can I put it? Like, we know why people sound shit over a certain age. Because they've got nothing to say.
They ain't got no content, they're not living.
They wasn't never saying nothing.
Yeah. They weren't saying nothing in the first place.
They never really lived. You know, there's only so much energy you can suck off some youths. There's only so much time you can talk about manipulating children. There's only so much time you can
you get old and you're talking about you got ops. What ops you got, bro? You're almost touching middle age and you're talking about ops. You know them style here, like, man's got to change. Well, for our era, man got to change what man's putting in the dialogue and the content.
Yeah, but this is why. But again, that's one of the reasons why I say I'm more grateful now than I've ever been. You know me from a Kwede, and you know that man has always been on a certain lyrical path as far as the content I put out. So to know, I think now I probably get more rewarded for that content now than I did at the time. Because at the time I was with my peers, and a man said it to me the other day. I was in the studio a couple of them the other day, and I think I was resizing that, and a man said, "Right, you know what, mate? I tell you the truth, I listened to you more on my way out of jail, bro, and that's when I started really getting into you." And the way the man then was talking, it almost made me emotional because it wasn't no fools that were saying it neither. And it was like, and I said, bro, do you know how much that means a lot to a man? Cause I was the alternative in a sense of like, I'm with them. Like, it's only, you know, like even now when people talk certain shit, like, bro, we didn't know he was there, or I've heard man come out and talk about, bro, mate, don't, but to find out that's my family. Like, you know, like, cause we didn't do X, Y, and Z from the beginning, so certain times. So when you're going through the times, you remember me being on a tune with Corleone talking about, I'm gonna say this as clear as I can, rear to tear. So that was the stance I took at the time. So to get rewarded for that stance now, because everyone else who didn't take that stance, it didn't last as long.
No, 100%.
Does that make sense? Because there wasn't, you know, so when I said to a man the other day, bro, to know that, you know, I was just rapping as the other option. So at the same time, me and I'm sitting down there with whoever I'm sitting there, me and my Johnny Bridgen sitting here, and I'm trying to rap as the option to the man them, and that's what I was in real life, with the man them in real life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, so to know that now down the line, that's what's kept man alive, and that's what's now transcended to the ones after, why they still fuck a man, I can't complain, bro. You just gotta take the blessings, you know, like that.
Keeping it true, come on. So you see, like, back in the days, I remember when you was coming up, you just brought out the Johnnies and that, you was running around with a couple of the
Yeah, my big oldies, bigger oldies, or bigger all the man.
Grinches and them of
bigger
the world.
all the man them. The man I kept man solid for years.
Come on, Reba, you see the Birmingham man them? Come, they're different, bro. They
just came home never
real recognised, bro. You get me? Man's got a lot of family and a lot of love over there in the Midlands. You get me, bro? Man, never ever drop out them, man. There. You see what I'm saying?
All of them, both sides, man. Like,
yeah.
You know, I remember I'm from out of town originally. I'm from country originally.
Right, so you could deal with both.
But the weirdest thing was, it's like I kind of, as I got older, I kind of reverted back. It's like I come down to London when I was a youth, and it's like I spent enough time thinking. And by the time I started doing the CDs and traveling, I felt more comfort being. I felt more comfort out of London, bro, if I'm honest. Like, I preferred my people, them, I was my girl, them, I was living, I had a place in Long Eaton with the man, them, I was in Brom. I just preferred that energy more than I preferred the energy from town. And it got...
because they love man more,
it
bro.
It allowed me to see certain things as well.
They rate man more over there, you get me? I think they like difference, innit? It's like us. You see what I'm saying? Because when I was making music, Northwest people, they used to listen to my music, but I got more love from like South, East, North. You feel me? And it's the same with us over here. We'll listen to more.
But over here, Northwest is different though, because over here, you got so much rubbing the politics that it's mad.
Yeah, it's political over here. But like I said, it's just as bad as in Birmingham as it is over here. You get me? Man's warring with man at the bottom of their road and them thing there.
But do you know what I used to like about out there, if I'm honest, what I preferred about town is that their conflicts were very clear and direct.
Yeah. Weren't no sugar coating.
Yeah, I prefer that. Like, I prefer we don't fuck with that side. And also, even when you're out of town and you're dealing, but there'll be times I'll be in a spot and I'll be surrounded by like 5 burgers talking about yo blood, and I'll be like, my hands out in the job.
Yeah.
Like, shake it, you know. Like, what, you think I'm over there dissing you lot to the man, and that's my brothers them. Half of my whiz-ups in the closets are theirs. That's the facts, but I'm here, innit?
Bro, I saw my first WAP over there, bro.
So, like,
I think I was like 13.
But what
That's the first time I saw a turn up.
So what it also done, it gave me a chance to also let people know that Mike's genuine, you know. So even when you're over there, and you know, you're pretty, like, it's like with me, like anything. And I think it's one of the reasons why I managed to like have the relationships with certain people where people often think like, right, but Mike's a certain way, but why is he with them?
Man's not small-minded, bro.
But not even
real
realising
recognize
that-
real, you understand?
Exactly, not realizing that the them you're talking about is usually the ones that you lot are trying to be like. And most of the time, all the traits they have are the same as man. It just went that way.
Facts.
That's it. Same traits, just went that way. Same traits, bro. They're still not the traits that you lot, because you lot are still mugs.
Nah,
whether you're doing a 9 to 5 or busting your gun, you're still a mug.
So with that said, yeah, that collective that you was involved with, Street Dreams, was you a part of them?
Big up Blood.
Cobra, Snake,
We got
Big
four Slimmers. We got
Slimmers.
four Slimmers.
I have a big up Slimmers.
Slimmers love
Big
you.
Dog.
Slimmers love you. Fucking Slimmers, Cobra, Cracker, Jerks, the whole
Paris, big up Paris, big up
one,
Blue
Gambino.
Dog.
Listen,
Even Mukta, blood.
all
Big Mooks, big up Mukta, you get me?
Come on, enough people don't know that there was a
They
ties
don't
earlier.
know that the man was locked
don't
in.
know
Big
there
up
was ties
Bucky,
earlier.
you get me?
Like,
You got the man them, man.
all them lot were together from early, bro. But one thing I said, like Street Dreams, what it was with Street Dreams at the time, I'm trying to break off money here, there, and everywhere with situations. So, and for me, it was like Street Dreams were the first set of man, they were light man, that I saw that could compete at the level that it needed to be competed on. For the first set.
But friendly competitiveness.
No, when I say that, I mean like, and this again, it goes down to a lot of fronting to who done what at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people can talk shit, but there was nothing like Street Dreams at the beginning. Nothing.
There wasn't.
Nobody, nothing. And the reason I say this, because we was there, number one. That's the first thing. So if you was doing what you was doing, you wasn't. Street Dreams were the first, and I must stamp this down because people seem to get this confused. Street Dreams were the first set of man from the hood that got their money from the hood and put it into this UK rap,
music.
whatever this thing they call now. Now there was man before them, like coming from, there was man over here from Grove and that were putting money into reggae music. That's been happening for years. Yeah?
Well, this is the first set of men.
The man them,
Yeah.
like man, because a lot of people seem to forget these parts that we started this. No, they did not. Street Dreams were the first set. And the reason I say that, because at the time there were no other options. How can I put it? At the time, I'm trying to like get deal money and label. There's only one way of batting. Like we're trying to get, seen by FADEC, RCA and all that. Like with the man them putting money into mute wasn't on. There's no U channel. There's no YouTube.
This is before all of that.
There's no formula to nothing.
Yeah.
So a man putting his money into it's like throwing in the wind. So the reason I got to iterate this because people like to get the beginning of this thing really confused as well. Like, them man there grind. Then grind man didn't start nothing. Put it into context. Where you first met us?
We not first meet you lot in Hatton.
Hatton Gardens. The whole block ours.
The whole block, bro. The studio was lit, bro.
So my point is,
I was shocked, bro. Hatton Gardens, bro.
Them times
Man only
there-
go there to buy jewelry.
them times there. So, I've got my own office around the corner, as well as that one there. Like this is normal at them times there. So what I'm trying to
And it's, sorry, not to cut you, weren't no that thing where you have to creep in there and you got to blow
We're
the
next door to
bogey
Arsenal.
outside. Man's
We're next door to Arsenal.
What? Man's
We had
in-
flats in there.
We're
The double
in
block.
there blowing the biggest bogeys, beer,
No, they were-
juicing and everything.
Some grime artists had little rooms upstairs.
Yeah.
And they used to never come downstairs to the lobby because we had the whole lobby. But my point is, I'm just talking shit. But my point is, like, at that time, there wasn't none of the man them that could compete to the record industry levels that had to be competed on. Because there wasn't no YouTube and there wasn't no U channel.
No, you lot was
Do
independent.
you see where I'm
with it.
coming from?
No,
It
come
wasn't,
on.
we didn't do the pirate station. So it was like, I looked at it like, right, this is the first time that the man them can go at the game. And that's what Street Dreams was. Does that make sense? And then after that, people start. But that's what street dreams were, bro. So I've got to double down on that. Cause a lot of people just don't. They'll have to skip over that part.
Yeah, no, I couldn't overlook that. That's why I had to bring that up. Cause you
but
get
Slimmers loved you, innit? Slimmers loved you, man.
Nah, come on, big up Big Slimmers, man. Them man there, you get me? Had a lot of time for man introduce me to my Michael Million and everything.
Big up Michael Million.
Give me
as well.
bare airplay over this.
Big up Michael Million.
Slimmers is big homie, bro, from long time. You get me? So like, would Street Dreams ever like come back together, or have you lot thought of any compilations, or you know what I mean? Like, are the man them still locked in?
The man them are like,
I see Paris here and there.
Paris,
you get me?
Big up Paris. I support Paris.
Big up Paris. You get
funny
me?
enough, actually. Funny enough,
bro.
Yeah,
As a
Paris got the rap
collective,
league. She's doing the rap, the
battles.
The battle rap. She got the battle rap league.
Shit. Okay.
No loose chat. But we're gonna do something as well. Actually, funny enough, we're thinking of hosting some battles in the crib, in the gallery spot.
Makes sense.
So we're thinking, me and Paris thinking doing some stuff with Paris. You got obviously big up Gambino. Kuba's still around. Kuba's buying and selling properties and developments and all that, bro. You know how much times I've tried to get Kuba back into something. Me never fell out over it.
Yeah.
Like, I love Kuba, but Kuba, he's building complexes right now.
Yeah, no, I've only heard everything about that set of man. Them's always been positive. You get me? Big up Blue.
Jerks, big up Cracker. Like,
come on, man.
All of them, bro.
No, 100%. So you see, like, what I was gonna say is, what made you think to yourself, you're gonna sell your CDs on the street? What made you think like that, though?
Necessity.
You could just given them away.
No, do you know what? Nah,
you could just given them away.
It's funny you said that. You know.
What made you think I'm gonna go Oxford Street, have a street team,
and
shot them? You lot were doing bits, bro. No one doing that.
That's dark and cold.
And there was a myth back in the day that you shot all 20,000 on the curb or something like that.
The myth. We done 300,000 all in all.
300,000.
When it's all said and done after 5 years, 300,000.
Do you see what I'm saying?
And that's just mine. That's
bro,
not what they was doing.
I remember I used to link you, but you used to
them,
be
yeah,
in your
them
front
kind of day,
room,
yeah, we're
and
random
burning.
numbers. Yeah.
You used to be burning, bro. Hella burning. You got all 5. You remember you had the 5 set of rip things to rip DVDs and CDs.
Yeah.
I said, nah, this guy he's moving like a Chinese youth, like selling DVDs. I said, this guy is something else.
No, again, do you know what it is? That was an amalgamation thing. That was Dark and Cole set it off. When Dark and Cole put together that DVD, they said to me, Mike, don't give any of these out. And Rare to 10, they said, and I said, why? They said, don't give any of them out, you're going to see the profit. So that really was like the mindset of Dark and Cole saying to me, Mike, don't give any out, sell them. So, and then I kind of realized, okay, shit, if you don't give any out. But really it was then when I saw that the manufacturing could get done in a certain fashion. So when I realized, oh, and I can burn this for that price, I can give them that, they can all make good money. Because if people don't make good money, they're not going to do something. So when I realized I've got a way of making these youths make like, you know, 100, 200 pound a day, then I said, okay, I've got some. And that's when it turned into something. And that was really where it burned. It wasn't, people get this yes, Mike Josie was a good artist, they were Mike Josie CDs. But it was the business formula I came up with that had what was really why I sold so many units. It was formula. You know, like that being an artist was cool. Being who I was just the cool part. Like, and I say this. If I'm truthful, everyone else was shook, bro. Like, that's the reality.
Yeah, no one on standing up.
Now, remember, this is you channel days. This is you channel days.
100%.
So this is days when we're famous. We're really famous on TV, and we ain't got no idea of it.
How did you even get onto U Channel? That's another question I want to ask you. How did you make that transition to even get your stuff on U Channel? Cause I remember I used to come home from college and them thing there, and you're on the screen.
Yeah, that was just
like daily, bro. Yeah, daily.
But them times there, we can't fucking. Again, it's what it was at the time. There's a lot of people pretending what it was.
But how did you even get your video on U Channel?
No, we had man had a good relationship with them still, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good relationship with them. So when that first started busting, that's what I'm trying to say. When certain things first started happening, and things started making sense, before other people found other friends, a lot of initial work was coming to man. So even when U Channels first kind of come about, we had close relationships with a lot of people.
No, 100%. I like to think that you lot was at the forefront of a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff gets hidden though. A lot of stuff, it's weird.
It's if you know,
yeah,
kind
no,
of
but
thing.
funny enough, it's more so now, I think, there's more, big up to my brother Spray all day.
Big up Spray.
Pete, you know, his algorithm and people on his algorithm is almost like the algorithm which is telling the truth. Yeah. And you've got the
facade algorithm.
The facade algorithm of what an industry is, which is owned by the video platforms. Like, So I think as time is starting to level out, it's changing. But a lot of the early days, a lot of things got swept under the carpet, bro. So a lot of the early conceptions of the U channels and all those relationships, a lot of people forget a lot of the early shit, bro.
Yeah, no, 100%. So the other day I'm on the internet, I see someone ranting and rave. What happened with you and Lippy? What's the fallout there?
No, just something I heard from before. I just heard him say something from before. It's just usual, innit? I think a lot of these guys just they don't really know me too well, so they just say dumb stuff. But I don't want to get into much into that. But yeah.
Big up Lippy, man. You done know. One of Northwest own, but you get me, your big bro, so I just had to squash that early. You get me? Early. That's dead anyway. You know, like that, family. So regarding your projects and everything, what's the distribution looking like? How are we going to be able to get your project? You got a project coming up now.
Got something with Limelight coming.
Big up Limelight as well, man. He helped me with one of my projects as well. Good DJ, that, man. He's got a good heart, man.
We got Last of the Dying Breed 2 coming with Limelight on Warner. So
it's going through Warner?
Yeah, it's going through the Warner distribution. So
big up Warner distribution.
So we'll just see how it maps out, bro. Yeah, man, it's good look. See what Limelight does. Limelight's looking forward to it. Limelight, and the thing about it, me and Limelight done the first one together years ago. So Limelight's actually a guy who's we've actually been working together for years. To watch him kind of become what he's become as well is mad.
Nah, I rate his thing for the Asian community, not even just the Asian community.
He's a pillar stone.
He's been working with everyone.
But he's, as you know, he's had more to do with like people's rise than we kind of think. But so I'm glad it's just weird how life can come back around that we can do, because Last of the Dying Breed is probably one of my first kind of mixtapes that resonated.
Yeah.
And I think now it's like to come again, to know that we're going to be able to also come again older, but probably have a much bigger audience than we did for the first time round is a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Make sense?
No, I hear you. Well, boy, we're coming up. We're gonna wrap it up now. So I'm just gonna come to like a last little dead question. I would even say dead question, cause no one can't really ask you this question. I feel like I could ask you this question. Okay, you're my bro. Talisa.
T's cool, man.
Yeah. Big up, sis. Big up Talisa.
T's cool.
Everything.
It was what it was.
It was what it was.
It was what it was at the time. In other words, we was doing what we was living. We was going through what we was going through. She needed me to do her a favour. I done the favour. It got unstuck. She didn't stand up through the process. And that's kind of it. But luckily enough, the process went a certain fashion. And the way that process ended leaves me as the only person to have a guilty plea overturned mid-trial in the Crown Court. It might be different now, but at the time that was the case.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one of those things. But yeah.
But there's no love lost there.
I can put it, there's no love.
I remember when you was getting through it, you was emotional, bro.
No, there's no love loss in a sense of like, there's no love loss because that doesn't make sense. There's disappointment, yeah, obviously.
I get that.
There's obviously disappointment. But then the disappointment I have for her isn't no dissimilar to the disappointment I have for 99.9% of the people that I've ever had any brushes with in this music industry. It's just so happened that was on a large scale. But truthfully, every 99.9% of the people that I've ever brushed shoulders with within the confines of entertainment have been full of shit. But that's why I say I don't complain though, because I might have been the biggest, but I've had the longest. And I know that you're not going to find no one else in man's bracket that still can step in the booth and sound like that and still anyone gives a fuck about. So that's the trade-off.
Nah, I feel you, my bro. Listen, Mike, it's a pleasure to have you, my bro.
Good luck with the whole thing, bro.
Come on, my bro.
Like, I'm loving now, man. It's just, that's what I'm saying. My brother come out of pen, doing what he's doing. I had to do this.
I appreciate you, my bro. You get me like this.
Best of luck. Make sure everyone else just knows that this is where it started, bro. And know that man's doing this for a reason. And know that man ain't just doing this out of nowhere. Like, man started this shit. This going around recording people, getting people's footage, putting people out there. Man just want their flowers, and it's gonna, you gotta go against a whole bunch of bollocks. But
it feels like that now, but I ain't gonna give up. I ain't gonna let up. You already know the thing. You get me, family. But family, thanks for coming through. Who's the hardest? You already know what time it is now. We get into the freestyle piece.
Who's the hardest?